the whole thing again. Hello, my name is Distro. This is the tutorial for the last mission of Halo 5, which is named Guardians. This is a tutorial to how to speedrun this game on this mission on Legendary. In this tutorial, I will use relatively safe strats. They're riskier ones if you want to speedrun competitively that I won't show here. I'm explicitly showing the safe strats that I use in full game runs, which are also quite a lot easier. At the beginning of this mission, you just have to wait for dialogue to be finished. You can't speed this up in any way, at least not to my knowledge. I take the light rifle here, but that's the personal preference thing. You don't have to take it. I just believe it to be handier for the next sections.
A what? This is a cryptum. It is a device for extended forced meditation. Cortana has placed the other humans inside and is preparing it for slip space travel.
And when you hear the dialogue,
Not far. Right this
not
way.
far, right this way, you know you can approach the door and it will open.
Look at all of them. How are we gonna stop that?
This section is just a gondola ride, and you can't speed up anyway, you just have to go through it. Now what I'm going to do here, and this is important if you want to do consistent strats. After certain dialogue, your allies lose their shields, and I use that opportunity to kill them. There is a very good reason why I do that, which I will explain very soon.
Holy!
Watch out!
I need some support. Down!
So the reason why I do this is they will respawn later on when I need them to do a consistency strat to get a checkpoint when I need it. That allows me to do a trick over and over again by forcing a checkpoint in case I fail.
Where's that Guardian headed, Cortana?
So if I were to fail a trick, I can just redo it without losing too much time. If you want to practice, it's a good way to force a checkpoint to do that.
Built, not born.
Oh yes, AIs are just machines.
Also, this is not very important, but still very good to know. At the end of the gondola ride, you can use the momentum of the gondola to, how shall I say, to boost into the other room. You can keep the momentum and go fast like that. The timing you can use, and that's the audio cue, is when Cortana says, "But we will care for you." Shortly after the you can jump, sprint jump and thrust her off the edge of the gondola into the other room and keep jumping.
Well,
It will look like this.
may not have cared for its created, but we will care for you.
She's just at
other
you,
AIs
so I do that.
I have cured rampancy, not just for me, but for
Unfortunately, it was a
every
bad
joy I
boost, but
cause.
you get the idea. To get a good boost, you can boost all the way over here.
I've been speaking to my creator.
Keep the momentum like
And now
that.
the time has come to ask
I pick up the binary rifle
who
that spawns here for consistency reasons, because I do a strat that is quite
accept
safe.
my offer.
I will explain it very soon.
Help me bring an everlasting peace to the galaxy.
This room is a bit random. Just try to be fast and go over this rock. And now you see there are two binary rifle soldiers spawning on the top platform in the middle of the room. You should try to headshot them right away, because binary rifle soldiers can insta-kill you if you're unlucky. Again, it's a consistency strat, you don't have to do it, but I really advise it. After you headshot them, that's one big threat done. One big threat in the room gone already, so you can just keep rushing like this. You do the exact same thing. You wait on this metal platform until this binary rifle soldier spawns, and you also insta-kill him. Now, if you miss your first shot, don't panic. You have enough time to get 2, 3, or even 4 shots. And if you hit the head of the soldier once, you're fine. You can just run through.
Those are the voices of your
And you just rush and try not to be killed in this section. Now this section is a bit tricky. You see these two turret soldiers spawning that you can see in the middle of the screen right now. If they're looking facing the left way, you're quite likely to survive, at least much like in the other scenario. If you're facing the right way, you got quite unlucky, but you're still very, very able to survive. Either way, I advise to do movement in a way that you avoid to be shot. What I do is I go to the wall like this, and then I just rush through the door. I crouch slide, and then I just thrust it to the left again. And by doing that, I avoid getting shot from enemies from the front and from the back. It's very rare to avoid all the shots, but like this is way more likely to survive. At this point, you just have to rush through quickly and try not to die. K covers at where walls are and stuff like that. Now, this is the reason why I took the binary rifle. The consistency strat that is following here. There are two focus beam turrets, and if you binary rifle their eyes, how I call them, like the small opening where they shoot from, you can instantly destroy them like this. Just quickly kill this one and then just rush through. Stick to the left side where this ice cliff is. Avoid being shot from the other cannon. And reload the gun here. And just destroy this one too. It's important. It's not really necessary, but for consistency reasons, it's important to stay to the right here so that the enemies in the middle of the room won't shoot you. And right about now, and this is why I killed my allies before, my allies will spawn.
There's the crypto. How do we get it down?
If you watch at the radar in the bottom left. Okay, actually, they spawned a bit later. Anyway, you just rush through, and when you see this core, just mark it with D-pad up. The reason why you do that is that your allies will start destroying the core now. And by the time you're in the tricky section of the mission, you will get a checkpoint, because after the first core is destroyed, you always get a checkpoint after a while. So make sure it's marked like this with the red arrow.
You heard her. Weapon spree.
Or red square. In this section, change preferably the light rifle, any weapon you have really, with the Warple Talon. Now the Warple Talon is a special sword that allows you to hover twice as long. Usually would hover for 3 seconds in mid-air. With this sword you can do it for 6 seconds, which is considerably longer. But you can also double thruster. And here I advise you to take the ghost. And just try avoiding being shot or anything.
Humans, come back! This gravitational core is still active.
Go for the left for consistency reasons, because there's a knight and lots of crawlers to the right. That can easily kill you. And now we get to the tricky section of the speedrun of this mission. What you have to do is try to get on the ice cliff that you can see up there with a metal platform. There are several ways to do it. One of them is by taking the ghost and just boosting up the slope here, the ice slope you can see. I wish I'd done very soon. That's the method I use because I find it the easiest one. And then in mid-air, you just get out and try to land on the ice. I don't know how to call it, ice cliff thing up there. It will look somewhat like this.
Don't stop, Osiris. Cortana's not waiting for us.
Okay, so after you here, you have a death timer. If you stick to the very right, where I'm right now, here, the death timer will not count down. If the death timer goes to 0, you're dead. Also, another way to go up this until here, up here, is by going on foot and crouch sliding up the ice ramp I just boosted off with the ghost. But I think it's more difficult, so you should try to use the ghost to do this. If you feel comfortable doing other strats, you can watch other speedruns or tutorials that might be helpful. In this section, what we want to do is first of all, avoid being shot, because if you get shot in mid-air, you might fall down. What we try to do is we try to sprint, jump, and thruster to the very edge and clamber onto the rock here. By hovering, you keep a bit of momentum, and it makes this trick much easier. So you should hover in mid-air, like at the end of the thruster. It takes a bit of practice, but once you get the hang of it, it's quite easy. After you're out of bounds here, just go somewhere around here, so the death timer doesn't show. You can wait for a checkpoint here, because your allies should destroy the core right about now. You see the red arrow disappeared, and I got a checkpoint. If you look at the bottom left of the screen. So now you can practice all you want here. You can also wait for the checkpoint on the previous platform if you don't feel safe at all.
Find and eliminate the other gravitational cores.
From here on, you will try to get onto this cliff. From here on. There's several ways to do it, but I think the easiest one is to clamber up here. And then jump and thruster here. You can keep to the edge here. Don't be afraid to pull to the, you know, pull the stick to the right because you won't drop off. There's an invisible wall here. What's important is these things should not hit you. If you're inside the out of bounds area, they won't hit you. But you have to get out to get to this rock now. And time in a way that they won't shoot you, so you have to be a bit fast. You can clamber up here, and then clamber up here again. After jump thrustering. It's a bit tricky. If you don't to see the inputs, just watch the video again a few seconds back to see what I did there. I jump clambered to the edge of the previous cliff I was on, and then I jump thrustered onto here and then clambered again. And then you can just drop in here. Be careful, if you go to the far left, you will just drop down and die or something. Try to stick to the right. Don't worry about these guys, they can't shoot you anymore if you're here. Just during the jump from that platform to this one, where they can kill you. Now what I do is, I align myself, and it's important, hold on. Okay, unfortunately I failed this in this scenario, but I can revert.
I see what Cortana means about your penchant for violence as a first solution. Still, the first core is deactivated. The others are nearby and easy to locate.
Okay, this is where we were dropped off. But that's why I said, don't go too far to the left, you will drop off. If you're around here, this is the queue I have. This cliff is the visual queue I use. This is the one I use as an optical queue, visual queue. And this section is probably the most difficult one in this other bound section. What we try to do is we try to get on this rock. And we have to double thruster through here. The problem is if you don't do it correctly, you will drop down and you can't go back up again. So you have to revert to the previous checkpoint. There are other ways to do this that might be faster, but I believe this one to be the easiest, at least for me. I don't know how to do the other ways. What I do is, I have the cursor, how you call that, the cross thing. That's to the left of this ice cliff thing. And also use this as a reference. Slide to the left here, I crouch. And I just move forward. And as soon as my head bumps into the ice thing, I double thruster and hover. Which looks like this.
If we don't get to the crypto...
Okay, I failed unfortunately.
It's
a bit tricky.
About your penchant for violence as a first solution. Still, I see what Cortana
needs a bit of practice.
Penchant for violence as a first solution. Still, the first core is deactivated. The others are nearby and easy to locate.
Try to do it again.
The Artemis to track them.
Good idea, Vale. Osiris, find and eliminate the other gravitational...
Again, use this as a reference. Just crouch and walk forward like this. Double thruster and hover into this. If you go into this rock, you know you're fine. This is what you want to achieve. If not, it will drop down somewhere around there, and that's run over. You just have to revert, so that's okay. To wait for the checkpoint. If you're here, just move, crouch and move backwards here into this pyramid. Stick to the left and go up a bit. Now this is important. If you stay to the right, these beam caverns will shoot you and you will die. Legendary at least. What you want to do is try to drop in here. You can thrust it to the right to have the hold here. And what you want to do here is try to land on this platform. It's an invisible one. Don't be afraid, it extends quite a bit far. I think, wait, where does it go to? All the way here. Maybe there's a bit of invisible ground you can walk onto. Now this section is quite difficult to explain. I'll try it. You can hit the ending trigger of the mission by being in this section, like in the middle of the room, below this elevator thing.
If we don't get to the cryptum now, we might never see.
If nothing is loaded right now,
Hurry, Osiris.
what we want to do is we want to get far enough to the middle at a certain height and just hold hover. You can see that you hit the ending trigger if you have a black bar. I will show it soon. But if you are in the middle of the room in mid-air, just hold the hover. Remind it lasts 6 seconds. What will happen next is you will be warped back somewhere around here. And what you want to do is you want to spam jump in mid-air. And then as soon as you get the jump when you get warped, just thruster backwards, have solid ground on your feet. Just like this. To the middle of the room, I hold the hover, got the black bar, I spam jump. And thruster backwards twice. Only once is enough, but twice for safety reasons. Now, we have hit the ending trigger of the mission. What we want to do now is wait for a bit to get a checkpoint, a few seconds. And then we just go here. This section you have to be a bit fast, so it takes a bit of practice. Get into the invisible ground here. And as soon as Locke says only one of us has to reach the relay to stop her or something like that, and then X0 and lower the shield. When he says lower the shield, when he says lower actually, the ending of the whole area of the ending of the mission will load. Now this is a bit tricky because of the reason that if you're not fast enough, the textures will load where you are and you will get stuck, which means that the run is over. So what you want to do is you want to go to the same place you were before in mid-air, because there's nothing there, there's nothing going to load. And
One of us has to
I will show it, wait.
stop her. We didn't
Want to
come
hover here. This is a place where if things load, you won't get stuck. Just try to be in the middle of the room. And if you watch this half circle at the end, this is where you want to aim at. So shortly before Locke says exuberant lower the shield, try to hold ground pound. And try to land to that direction.
Exuberant. Lower the shield.
Like this. And the whole area... Okay, I went too fast.
You were too slow. What are you?
Okay, so we're doing it again.
Unless that relay is interrupted.
Timing is important with this trick. I think this tutorial is good to see what things you can screw up. Granted, I didn't do that on purpose.
Only one of us has to reach the relay to stop her. We didn't come this far just to watch her leave. Exuberant. Lower the shield.
Right away.
Osiris.
So yeah, you want to land on this ramp. You can just finish the mission
Brace yourself. Keep moving.
My guardians are
the way you used to.
Another pole.
There's another trick that is a bit complicated to explain. It's called the relay animation skip. There are other tutorials on it that you might look up. But with this kind of setup, I think a good way to do it is to wait for the third wave. And when the third wave hits you, you want to be left to this black dot at the same height of this black dot. This is the last black dot on the ramp before it is horizontal. Just wait for the wave here. What you do now is a series of inputs. You jump, double thruster, jump again, like this, and hold forward. Okay, now this is a bit complicated to explain. I'm right in front of the ending trigger. If you surpass a certain line, you will hit the ending animation sequence of the mission. And usually, if you don't do the relay animation skip, you go for an animation where you open the relay hall. You can see right on the middle of the screen right now. But you can skip that whole animation by timing you jump correctly. If you get a wave, the last wave, and you hit the ending trigger at the same time, you hit that animation. It's a very, very tricky thing to do, and it's quite difficult to do, so I don't know if I'm going to get in this tutorial or not, but I will try. So the purpose is I try to jump and thruster as soon as I get the last wave, and I try to time in a way that I get this ending sequence and the wave at the same time so they cancel each other out. I failed, unfortunately. But it doesn't matter, it's not a biggie. You can just go to the ending like this. This loses around 40 seconds if you don't get the real animation skip. I said there are better tutorials on that, on this particular trick, that you might want to look up. This whole animation where you destroyed the hull, that's what you would have skipped if you had gotten the real animation skip. So that was my tutorial. I hope it could help. I know I made a lot of mistakes, but this also shows in a way what can go wrong and how to recuperate. I mean, how to save it.
It is too late.
So I really hope that this will help people out to learn this mission.